Christmas with a Prince is a really good film and quite different to any other royalty based Christmas film that I've seen. This was released in 2018. It's directed by Justin G. Dyck and written by Sarah Morgan and Keith Cooper. And it stars Kaitlyn Leeb as Dr. Tasha Miller and Nick Hounslow as Prince Alexander. And it starts off with the Prince getting into a bit of a skiing accident, and the nearest hospital agrees to let him stay in the paediatric department where he's going to be the most safe from prying eyes and breaches of security. And there are two reasons why Tasha is not exactly enthusiastic about this. The first is that she's concerned it's going to disrupt the children. And the second is that she actually knows the prince. She went to boarding school with him and she doesn't think very highly of him. And that's one of the reasons why this is quite different to other royalty-based films, because usually when we have a Christmas rom-com with a prince, the prince comes off as being very sweet and likeable almost immediately. And there are exceptions, of course, but in this one, that's not the case. He's an interesting character, but I think it takes a little while to warm to him because, of course, we are seeing things pretty much through Tasha's perspective. But as the film goes on, I think it becomes quite clear that actually Prince Alexander is a decent person, and there are times when Tasha is actually behaving a little bit like a brat. To be honest, there are times where she's really nasty to him when he has done nothing wrong. That's not to say she doesn't learn from her actions, but there are a couple of times when I really didn't like her behaviour. But that aside, I think the on-screen chemistry between the two is great. The romantic aspect is very well done. It is obviously not immediate. It's not love at first sight, and it's not rekindling old sparks. It's nothing like that. It's much slower, much more gradual, and that means it's much more believable. As I said, Prince Alexander is actually, once we get to know him, and honestly, it doesn't take that much of the film for this to happen. Basically, once he starts interacting with the children and we see that he's actually really great with them, I found him to be really likeable and somebody whose journey I was really pleased to follow. Now, the other reason that this is quite different to the average royalty-based Christmas film is it's the children. And it gets emotional. And I'm getting emotional just thinking about it because some of those children are really sick. And it doesn't go overboard. It doesn't make them look that sickly. It doesn't make them come across as being weak. We don't kind of have the visual element of them being sick, but we have descriptions about their chemotherapy. There's one little boy whose mother can't visit him every day because she lives really far away, and this was the nearest children's hospital. And just through their words, it's really emotional, and it definitely made me well up. So I think my advice would be watch this when you're feeling as strong as you can, because if you're in a bit of a fragile state when you watch this and you're looking for a heartwarming, comforting film to escape reality, this one is a little bit sensitive, but it's very, very well done. And I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It's got enough Christmas in to be called a Christmas film. It's not full of festivities. We have a Santa Claus and some other Christmas things, some Christmas music. It's not the most jolly, but at the same time, it is very heartwarming. And it's a lovely story, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. If you like royalty-based Christmas rom-coms in general, then absolutely, I think you'll adore this. If you're not really the biggest fan of them, then I'd still say maybe give it a go because it is quite different. The character of the prince is quite different, and obviously the setting is quite unique. I think they did a wonderful job with the film. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Not one I'd watch again and again because it is at times a little bit emotional, but other than that, I thought it was a really great film, and definitely one that I'm happy to recommend.